Alright, and welcome to our second series. It's going to be the start, actually, of the Guangdong Freaks versus Psystorm Gaming. It's Trap versus GUMIHO. Should be an interesting matchup for sure. I have not seen a lot from Trap recently. I'm trying to remember the last time I actually casted Trap. It was... Oh wow, I think it was it Trap versus Clem? It was a long time ago. It was a long time ago. I have not really seen many Trap games in a long while. So I'm not entirely sure what Trap's form is going to be coming into this series. I of course have casted a bit of GUMIHO. I've seen him play. And so I am fairly brushed up on GUMIHO's form. Of course, did manage to get himself into the GSL Code S Season 2. And sorry, I was looking at the stats a little bit, but of course got himself into GSL Code S Season 2, and I think GUMIHO has shown some pretty consistent improvement. Still had weaknesses, of course. I'm thinking about what was his series versus? It was his series versus a Zerg Ragnarok, maybe. Yeah, I think maybe Ragnarok. But in that series versus Ragnarok, and ended up in his qualifying run not being able to pick up that series. And it wasn't necessarily off the back of not finding an advantage early. Actually, I think GUMIHO opened with some very, very solid bio play in both those games and found himself some pretty massive advantages, but just wasn't able to really transition it into the late game versus Ragnarok. Of course, that was TVZ. And this is TVP. It's a little bit different. I think GUMIHO's TVP is a special breed. He definitely doesn't play it, I think, too standard. We occasionally see him start to mix it up, but it doesn't look like Trap is really going to want to sit in this game for long because we already have a probe out on the map. That's going to be an early Twilight Council. Should be seeing Blink from this. I'm going to say should be, but also considering the fact that this probe sits around, is just going to find its way back in for a scout, so it's not going to be a proxy pylon. So that should rule out most chances of something like a DT rush here for Trap. But yeah, this game I think should end up being pretty normal. And of course for the Guangdong Freaks and for Psystorm, I think both of them actually not the best records in the WTL. I would look it up if something was working, but it's not right now. So I'm just going to go off what I know off the top of my head. But they're not doing the best right now. Psystorm definitely has had, I think, a little bit of a rougher run. Not as rough as like something like Team Liquid, who have definitely had a pretty horrendous start to their season. And as for the Guangdong Freaks, I think that things are definitely going to start to step up, especially with, you have like Sue really coming into form. As GSL is right around the corner, which is very, very exciting, and we're going to actually see him later on throughout this match. So, yeah, I think things are definitely looking good for them, and so we're going to see what Psystorm can pull out. Of course, GUMIHO is, I think, one of the best starts that they have, alongside someone like, I would say MaxPax, but I don't think MaxPax's performance recently has been necessarily the most stellar. It's still been very, very good. But I think GUMIHO is probably definitely one of their best performing at the current moment. As we are going to see, looks like there's probably going to be, I'd imagine, Cloaked Banshee. Tech Lab on the starport. Tank in production. Different Widowmine drop that's going to be coming through. I'm just waiting for... Oh, it's actually going to be a Raven. Interesting, interesting. The Raven is actually, it's not that uncommon in TVP. Yeah, 2 probe kills for, ooh, that was a nice attempt there by GUMIHO getting the Hellions on in, but a good probe surround in range of the shield battery means that it's actually not going to end up finding really too much damage. Ooh, okay. Trap's going to pull away. Ooh. If GUMIHO had been able to retarget that, could have maybe found a juicy shot. But all the Widowmine's going to get cleaned up 3 probes go down overall. Nothing too crazy, but behind this, GUMIHO, I think, is pretty happy with his position. As adding on his additional barracks, has a Raven that's going to be out now, and of course with the Raven, that means that if your opponent goes into Colossus or Disruptors, you can disable them. You can even, I learned this recently, you can even disable Archons. I didn't know that, but you can, so that's something that's going to, just another tool here in the Terran arsenal, if GUMIHO so decides to use it. Marine is going to scout out the 3rd Nexus, going down at a pretty regular time here for the Protoss. Charge also on the way, and ooh, very nice catch there. Good blink as well by Trap. It's still going to lose a Stalker to this, but it's also going to, I mean, for GUMIHO, is going to delay the Stalker pressure with these Widow Mines just being a little bit annoying. You get a Stalker for it. It's annoying that you know, it's unfortunate that you can't go across the map, of course, with that drop. That was the ideal plan for GUMIHO, but he's going to start working on his 3rd command center. The 1-1, or the +1, is coming through with the stim. Combat shields, of course, is a little bit delayed because you went for the Raven with the tank, so investing that additional 325 gas does just mean that your combat shields is going to be a little bit delayed. This Observer, though, is going to get a pretty nice scout here of this timing for GUMIHO. It's going to see, all right, tanks are sieging. This army is preparing to move out. I know that I should start preparing for an attack. We should see Trap here. He's going to start to cut that probe production. Colossus on the way. We should see Warpins come through. Actually going to get another round in. I mean, yeah, you can do it. I was looking at the army count to actually see if that was gonna be all right, but we're gonna see these medevacs also loaded on up. 2 more Marauders being brought over, and the bunker is actually empty here, so Trap might have a little bit of an opening to dive on in. Is gonna go straight towards the main, though. Let's see what the response is here for GUMIHO. That is gonna be combat shields. Not gonna be targeted down, though. The Widow Mine is now being brought forward. A Stalker is going to fall. Actually, the Widow Mine might get a shot off here right before. Ooh, Interference Matrix is onto the Colossus. Oh, GUMIHO, this is already a great start right now. He's going to dive onto the main there with a medevac. Has tanks sieging the wall, and the Stalkers are forced out as a recall comes through just to defend the natural base here for Trap. But that also means that the 3rd base is now going to be forfeit. A lot. Ooh, GUMIHO? Excuse me? I mean, should have gotten a lot of probes there. Is going to, I mean, just get a few Stalkers here on the tail end with those tanks. Should be able to snipe the 3rd base, though. And that, of course, is success enough for the Terran. As the probes did run away, and oh, they're going to be able to sneak. Oh, the probes. The revenge. GUMIHO didn't get them before, but he's going to get them now. 9 probes immediately go down. Blink forward here from Trap. He's just going to be able to get the singular Stalker, or the singular medevac. And the chase down, though, finds the 2nd one as well. And we're healing for this bio. Does just have to run for its life. But GUMIHO now establishing his own 3rd base. 5 Stalkers coming through, though, for Trap. +1. That's a Warp Prism Trap, actually. Might just go all in from this position. I think he's not even going to try and rebuild that base. He's going to snipe the Raven off, so these 2 Colossus no longer can get disabled. The 3rd Nexus is going to go down, so it's not going to be a complete all-in here for the Protosses. Oh, GUMIHO. Not going to be able to snipe that Colossus. Is just going to, I mean, evacuate his command center at this point. As more drops going across the map, GUMIHO has that triple drop that's going to be headed straight for the main. Isn't even going to try and get another deny on that 3rd base. As, I mean, this is just turning into a base race right now. The bunker is going to go down. Ooh, the repair, though, from the SCVs is very, very good before they start to get targeted. But still, already more probes have fallen. 15 go down. Pylon's being targeted. That's a massive pylon. The upgrade is going to be slowed down. The +1 can't finish. It was so close to finishing. Ooh, as the Widow Mine's going to get a little bit of value here, of course. Ooh, I think... Did Medevac get sniped? No, okay. Medevac's still up. This 3rd base actually should be canceled. I think the bio with the +1/+1 has just enough DPS to manage to, yeah, force the Nexus to get canceled. The Medevacs are going to get out. Now Stalker's going to get forced down as GUMIHO is actually playing wonderfully in this game. 3 Colossus out. Really doesn't matter. Those Widow Mines, I think, still alive in the main base, unless they did get cleaned up. Now, looks like they're still alive. Gonna be able to find 7 more probe kills here, and Trap is suddenly down to 34 probes. as GUMIHO just finding these drops across the map is pretty much taunting Trap. He's saying, listen, I don't think you're going to base trade me. I don't think you can. And he's absolutely right now. Trap was not in a position to try and force that base race. Now there's suddenly enough Terran to defend this counterattack from Trap. The Terran is up a base, and that's never a situation that you want to see as the Protoss. The +1 will finally finish for these ground units, but more Widow Mines going to try and drop on in. GUMIHO just being so annoying. It's going to unbro that Widow Mine, just delay more mining time, also going into the main. And this is just, I mean, brutal here. GUMIHO, just being as annoying as possible, finds 5 more probes, is going to burrow one at the 3rd base as well for when it finishes. And Trap is just getting pulled apart in every position. I mean, observers are going to eventually have to come on in, but you also have a push that's going to come on through to try and distract Trap, or just go for the 3rd base again, and it's open. Trap has no units here because they're all responding to the Widow Mines, and the Stalker's going to get forced down. We do see a Disruptor, though, that should be able to push this army back, but 12 more probes! 12 more! Zealots get cleaned up. They don't find any damage. That's just brutal right now for Trap, as GUMIHO playing an incredible game. Oh, he's even going to get some of these Disruptors low. Eventually, we'll clean up that Widow Mine, but right now we're looking at, I mean, a 70 supply difference. Things are not looking good right now for the Guangdong Freaks Protoss, as GUMIHO is going to try and find this angle. Vikings are here, but Stalkers are actually going to be able to focus them down. Focus fire onto a singular. Oh, this surround GUMIHO. He's going to get game 1. All right, game number 2. Here we are. Bottom left-hand corner, it is Trap. And in the bottom right of Golden Wall. Golden Wall. Golden Wall? Where is Golden Wall? Oh my. I had it prepared. I said, all right. You got this, Phoenix. You got this, Titan. Bottom right-hand corner of Blackburn. I even said it. In my mind, I was like, Blackburn. And then apparently my mouth said no. Anyway. We are going to be on to Blackburn, though. GUMIHO is in the bottom right, as I think you probably would have assumed. Of course, this is not a 4-player map. We don't really have many of those. We don't have any of those anymore. Is, I think, a bit sad, but of course the issue with 4-player maps was sometimes, depending on the RNG, you could just straight up lose a matchup if you didn't scout right. You were pretty much forced to play safe, because if you went for a timing attack and your opponent is diagonal from you, oh, then suddenly your timing attack is just really not going to work out, because your opponent has so much time to react to it and to get ready their defenses. And in other cases, we'd see players, go for a cheese, but it was really dependent on scouting out where your opponent was. You'd have to place the proxy in the middle of the map. Which, it's just not that fun. So yeah, of course, not the saddest that 4-player maps are out. Of course, it's always interesting to see how pros play on them nowadays, after they've been out of the rotation, and we don't really see them a lot, but we don't get that too often. As we're going to see what the build orders here are on Blackburn, because what we've seen from Protoss is quite a lot of a leaning towards the Stargate play on this map. And the reason why is, of course, Phoenix are very good on this map. Oracles can still just find damage. And, of course, it's not going to be like where you go immediately into like your tier 3 air tech with like TVZ or like PVZ. But what you are going to see is if this was Stargate from Trap, what you would see is most likely Oracle potentially into Phoenix, but if not, then just into your ground play, into your charge, or your blink. Instead, Trap is just going to go, once again, into Blink Stalkers. Ooh, should be able to find a slight delay here on this command center. Singular Marine not really going to be enough to push this Adept back. GUMIHO is going to have to play with the pathing of the SCV just a little bit, and actually with the Shade on out. Trap, it was a little bit early, but of course what didn't want to play with the idea that potentially more Marines could come out. I don't think he quite realized that it was going to be the double Hellion opener from GUMIHO, so GUMIHO has opted for this build where you get 2 Hellions out with the reactor, and then you actually manage to find yourself 4 Widow Mines for that eventual drop that's going to come on out. This pylon was dropped down just to keep tabs on GUMIHO and to kind of force him to respond in case it is used for something. Warp Gate is actually finishing up, so if you leave it alone, we actually might see a Stalker warped in there, but the Hellions are going to try and clean it on up. It's going to take a while. If you guys didn't know, flamethrowers are not the best at destroying alien crystals. Alien psi crystals, is that what they are? What are the pylons? I'm not read up on the lore of StarCraft. But we're gonna see this quadruple drop make its way across the map. I got reminded there of when we were doing GSL qualifiers, Rushy and I commended the StarCraft 2 campaign, and everyone was like, "What do you mean it's actually bad?" And I was like, "Well, listen, let nostalgia tint our glasses and fog our view as ooh, okay, 3 of the Widow Mines are gonna be able to get on out." Blink not done just yet, so a Stalker is going to go down. Ooh, GUMIHO going to try and bait. It's actually just going to move this Widow Mine down into the natural, but there are Stalkers there, and that should be the Widow Mine sniped. So 2 probes end up falling, as well as a Stalker for the medevac and all 4 of the Widow Mines. Overall, not the best trade for GUMIHO. Again, this is a build where you actually commit quite a bit to that early Widow Mine drop, and it potentially getting damage. So, of course, not finding that damage is just a little bit annoying. Trap is going to look for this Shade. He's going to try and see what he can find, but good liftoff by GUMIHO. The Stalkers just going to blink on in. They're going to look for some worker kill, but a Cyclone is already here. And, yeah, the Marines are actually just going to be able to push this back. Not going to be a lot of value gotten. You get 2 SCVs, and that's going to be about it. Hellions still trying to harass these probes. Eventually, one of them is going to go down, so the danger of those units is severely depleted. A single Hellion, it does take 3 shots to kill a probe, so you're not really going to find the most damage with that. Of course, the Hellion can still be used for scouting. GUMIHO is just going to pocket it around the map and try and find any sort of expansions from Trap that are maybe a little bit out of the ordinary. The Stalker's going to try and find their way back up here. There is a tank. Actually, that's going to be a blink on top of it. Trap. Ooh, just managed to only lose a singular Stalker for the tank. Of course, that's a pretty good trade for the Protoss. The Focus Fire not quite there for GUMIHO. Trap is now going to try and reposition here towards this side of the base. There's already a Cyclone. There's already the Raven as well. The blink onto the Raven, but auto turrets are going to go down, so that should be a lot of damage onto these Stalkers, but a good pullback, and Trap is actually finding a lot of damage here. Is going to start to blink around, and the recall just is going to immediately come through. Not even, Trap. Doesn't even lose a Stalker. Disgusting. The efficiency of this Protoss player, unprecedented. Charge is on the way. Templar Archives as well. So instead of the Colossus, Trap will be opting for that High Templar. Or for those High Templar, not a singular one. Which is interesting on a map like Blackburn. The reason I say that is Blackburn is a map with a lot of ramps. It's a map with a lot of, high, low ground that your Colossus can kind of take at least a little bit advantage of. But all in all, if you want to take the most advantage of the damage that you've gotten in this game this early, of course you're going to want to most likely head into a very much a ground-based army, because the ground-based army it's a lot easier for it to just run over your opponent. As this is a little bit unfortunate here for GUMIHO. Wanted to get that double drop across the map, but is scouted by the Warp Prism. Concussive Shell, Combat Shields, +1, all the upgrades. I'm just going to list them off here. That's fun fact, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to get into casting and you want to do analysis, don't look at how the builds actually match up. No, that's ridiculous. These High Templar, are they going to be good into a 5 racks? Well, of course they're going to be pretty decent. You don't get ghosts for a while as the Terran is. That's a nice pickup there. Onto a few of these Zealots. 2 SCVs already going down, and the Warp Prism is just going to get on out. But regardless, as I was saying, the High Templar, are they going to be good? Well, of course. GUMIHO right now, not really expecting High Templar. He's actually building Vikings. But don't look at that. What you're actually going to look at, if you want to do real good analysis and get everyone to praise you, is just talk about what's happening. Look at the production tab and say, all right, and we got a 4th base on the way now for Trap, +1 as well on the way. So he's going to look to just get this ground pounding army even stronger as a fight coming down. Storms are going to find their way here onto, oh, tank's almost sniped. We have that +1 armor almost finishing up for GUMIHO. He just needs to try and buy enough time for that upgrade to come through as the Storms are being baited pretty well. Storms just onto a few Marauders, trying to snipe the High Templar. Another one, but the High Templar goes down as Archons are being morphed in. But mind you, that 4th base for Trap, you know, if he's able to just find a little bit of damage here, he can suddenly start to snowball this game, and that's how you do it, all right? That's how you sound like you know what you're talking about. Anyway, we are going to see Trap, though, try and find some damage. And, of course, really, if you can get the liftoff here on the 3rd, if you can start to find some good trades, oh, that's some beautiful force fields. GUMIHO not able to evacuate all of his units in time. The tanks going to be able to push back the Protoss, though, and GUMIHO might have found Trap pushing just a little bit too far forward. The Archon is going to fall, but the bio is getting so low as more High Templar flank actually coming through here for Trap. He's going to look to try and, close out this series with a 1-1 scoreline. And it looks like he might just be able to as more Storms going down. And GUMIHO was just not prepared for this army composition as Trap pushes through, and that's going to be the tied series.